What's up, everybody? It's Sound Author again, and today we're looking at Vivd, a smaller patch library that I've made for Korg's ARP 2600 plugin. I was really excited to hear that Korg was coming out with their own official ARP 2600 plugin because they are now the official owners of the ARP 2600 IP. I was especially excited about that because there is a personality on YouTube. His name is Anthony Marinelli. If you don't know of Anthony Marinelli, you should definitely check out his YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description. When Korg came out with their own version of the ARP 2600 in hardware, he showered Korg's version with praise, and I was actually really kind of taken aback by that because Anthony is like super like, no, it's got to be this is what the ARP 2600 is. So I was very excited to learn that Korg was coming out with a software emulation, and it is one of the best analog modeled synths I have ever heard. And I'm really not just hyping this up. I'm not sponsored by Korg or any of that, not affiliated with them in any way. It is just truly exceptional sounding. It is right up there with the best of the best analog modeled synths of all time. It's in that higher echelon of analog modeled synths. So I absolutely recommend grabbing this, especially in the next, either, it depends on when this video comes out, either in the next 24 hours or in the next 48 hours, because there's only a couple of days left on Korg's website to go and grab this. It's marked down to $99 right now. And if you're going to spend 99 bucks on a synth this year, this is the one. So this is a smaller library, only 50 patches this time. But I will just shut up and get to it. And there's also some really beautiful effects in this as well. You probably heard some shimmer. They really went to town with the effects on this synth. So it got quite a lot to work with here. So. Wheel. Okay. So we're going through category right now. So these are the ARPs. Heavy-handed on velocity there. Some of these are a little bit sensitive. Sounds a little better with. That's kind of where it lives. Nice. Aftertouch and mod wheel. This one's a little strange. aftertouch. Good. I love my ARPs. This one's a little bit more of an atmosphere, but it's technically in the ARP section because it's being triggered by the ARP. But I'm doing random-y things. I think I have velocity sensitivity determining the speed of the ARP. So it gets louder, but the ARP triggers faster. So there's some interesting things that you can get going when you play very lightly, and then all of a sudden play a little bit louder. Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. Oh, we're in the basses now. Oh, yes. The ARP 2600 is very famous for being a bass synth. So let me get some tap tempo going on here. I like mod wheel. Of course, it's very velocity sensitive as well. Yeah. Some of these basses are a little bit sensitive. And some of them are less sensitive. Can't play it too much. There's copyright issues, okay? But you know what this is from, okay? A very traditional. So I'm kind of going back and forth between like some sort of traditional old school synth stuff, sometimes a little bit funky, sometimes more in like the synthwave area, sometimes a little bit ambient. I've mixed it up a little bit with this sound set. But I mean, I could not make that patch, right? I mean, it's the stuff of legends. Okay? And this one is a little bit more aggressive. Okay. Sometimes I just like to flick on my Arpeggiator on my MIDI controller, and because sometimes arpeggiating a bass is the way to show it off. Whoa, big fella. I mean, just that presence in the low frequencies and also in the mids, just, it sounds so good. And with this patch, I've done a thing where I've kind of used parallel processing. I've got basically the regular filter and also the mode sweep filter, which is more like a two-pole filter, very similar to, I believe, the SEM filter from Oberheim. I believe in a documentary that I watched on YouTube that Tom Oberheim said when he made the SEM filter, He basically just took what was in the 2600 and made some slight adjustments to it. So that's basically what this filter is here. There's also a second filter here, actually in the main VCF, but I'm not sure exactly what the main difference is between these. There is a difference though, and I hear it. I prefer the first one. But anyway, now we're to a small collection of, I think, like 9 or 10 like drum kit sounds. So this is just like a a very general purpose 808. Okay, and some, I like to think of this as almost kind of like a synthwave kit. That's where my head was at. So all right, so just a nice round beefy kick drum, nice crispy clap, cross stick. This is a great synth for drum design. I actually plan on sampling these, as well as maybe doing some more drum design, more drum synthesis in this synth, along with some other synths, and doing some percussive project, which is already an ongoing project and going on in the background. But that's a different video. So we got another kick. That one's a little bit more minimal, dirty kick. I try to keep away from doing these one-hit drums because they can be a little bit annoying in a sound set, but this time I feel like doing some one-hits. So then the good old 80s reverberated gated reverb. Yeah, that's a good one. Then I was actually kind of surprised by that result. It's actually just 3 detuned saw waves, very surgically detuned, going through a bandpass filter, 2 bandpass filters in series actually, with a lot of resonance. Very velocity sensitive. All right, I think that's a pretty good hat. That's a pretty good hat if I have to say it myself. And then we've got the tuned cowbell. Gonna have more of it. When you go a little bit too high, there is this one frequency that I couldn't get out of it. You can hear it. But when you go a little bit lower, down to where a cowbell usually is, that's a pretty good cowbell, right? Go with the pads. Okay. And then we have the... Right? You gotta have the big tom drop. So yeah. That's a pretty good tom. That's a pretty good tom. So anyways, that's it. That's your one-hit drums. And I tried not to get too carried away with that. And then I think we've got some leads. Some of the leads are kind of like pads, but they're more like melody driven. Mod wheel is a little bit of... And then aftertouch is just some vibrato. Okay. Okay. Sometimes my head was a little bit in John Carpenter land. Even though he was a Prophet 5 guy. on, man. What other soft synth sounds like that? It's just very unique. This would be more of a... That would be more ideal for it, but it is kind of more of a synthwave kind of thing that you would sprinkle on top. Speaking of synthwave, sometimes I think I don't go up high enough with some of these leads. And I'm about to go up pretty high with some of the piano patches. And this is just a traditional kind of... This is intended for a lead player that is much better than I. I am not a keyboardist. See, it's very sensitive. I don't have really great velocity response on this MIDI keyboard. It's not great. But I could go out and get a nice MIDI controller that has excellent velocity response, but I keep stopping myself from going and doing that because a lot of people out there also don't have great velocity response on their MIDI keyboards. And because of that, if I went out and got myself a nice keyboard with fantastic velocity response, I would program these patches way differently, and they would probably end up being way more sensitive than they should be for you. Because if you don't have great velocity response, just a little bit too much velocity sensitivity can become a problem, because all of a sudden you're playing really quietly and all of a sudden you're really loud. So I'm actually glad that I don't have great velocity response in this keyboard. So when I program velocity for synth patches, I try to do it in just a really minimal way to not make it too sensitive. So I think we're finally to the pads, right? You're like, Brian, where are the pads? I know, right? That's how I got my start, right? Being the ambient cinematic guy, or one of them. Yes, indeed. The ARP 2600 can do beautiful patches, beautiful pads. Odd wheel. A little bit of vibrato on the after. I like vibrato on the aftertouch. That's just what I like. This was actually one of the first pads that I made for this synth. And I played around with some feedback loops. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Sounds like seagulls. gentle noise as the ocean comes and goes. It's a very nice patch. Mod Wheel does a little bit of a strange thing. Little vibrato. I have a lot of fun with that mod wheel. All right. Dream a little dream. This one's a little strange. It's more of an atmosphere, really. Some mod wheel there. Vibrato again on the aftertouch. It's just what I like. Some people like vibrato to be on the mod wheel. I like it to be on the aftertouch mostly. That was a little strange. Okay. This one's just big. Very modern. Here comes the mod wheel. Aftertouch. Little pitch wheel going on. That was a little strange. But yes, that is kind of a crazy, crazy sound. A little bit of everything dashed into this sound set. A little bit of synthwave, a little bit of ambient. I like to think of it as an ambient synthwave sound set. Mod wheel. And as you can hear, they've given us some very nice effects. The tape echo is just lovely. In combination with the reverb, you can get some really beautiful atmospheres out of this patch. So I think when a lot of people think of the ARP 2600, they think of just like bleep bloop sequency sounds. No, 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 no. You can get some lovely, lovely warm sounds out of this. There's a mod wheel. Beautiful patch. Where are we? We're still in the pads. On wheel. Vibrato again on the aftertouch. Very common in this sound set, but it's a very common thing for me in general to have vibrato on the aftertouch. A bit of a sample and hold R2D2 thing going on in the background. So, it's just a nice, big, thick, warm cinema pad. Okay. And that's the mod wheel assignment. It's very glassy. Very subtle vibrato. Okay. And on some of these pads, I played around with the panning things that you can do. Sometimes using sample and hold, using the electronic switch thing that's built into the sample and hold module. It's an amazing synth. Is the some of these pads are big in ambient, but some of them are kind of more melodic, more playable, kind of almost like synthwave. So that. Odd wheel. Just wonderful, warm, lively, vibrant sounds. Okay, I think now we're finally getting into some of the piano patches, which is a little bit more like played around with some FM. I think this is exponential FM. And the VCO responds a little bit differently than like a DX7 would. Still frequency modulation, but you modulate the frequency of the VCO, but then usually it goes flatter, it goes sharp, and you have to retune it. That's very common in the old school synths. It's nice sounding, right? Maybe a little bit too high. Okay. On to another one. And this one is a little bit more glassy. I think I was kind of like in Rhodes mentality here. Not bad for an emulation of an instrument that's over half a century old, guys. When you think about how old the ARP 2600 is and how flexible and useful it is, it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, there's a lot that you can do with this synth. And, you know, Korg gave us a few new kind of things here, but like the front panel mostly it's the ARP 2600. You know, it's what was there half a century ago. Like, considering how flexible and enormously useful that it was years and years ago, it just kind of blows your mind when you think about how well it was designed. And so, yeah, I have a lot of deeper appreciation for the 2600 today than I had years and years ago. It's just such a good synth. It's just pleasant. And layering that with like some nice strings. It's not just a bleep bloop synth. Okay, and I think... yes, we cannot forget sequences. Which is what most of y'all were thinking already, right? Where are the sequences? It's all these poly patches, and you all know that I love my generative sequences. And you can mess with the preamplifier gain and the drive control in real time to kind of like control the color. Yes, it is also amazing at sequences. Very good sequencer. and taking shape. Some of these are a little bit velocity sensitive. Yeah. I'm kind of doing both mod wheel and aftertouch at the same time here. That's the major version. I try not to get too carried away with major and minor versions of sequences, but I did it literally a couple of times, like 2 sets of major and minor sequences. So don't worry about it. I didn't get too carried away with that. So this is just the minor version of that. Aftertouch. So you can get these wonderful generative patches. You can do a lot of stuff with the sequencer. I love this synth so much. I'm not even trying to hype it. I'm just seriously, like, this has become what I think is the sleeper synth of the year. 48 hours left. Go grab it. I'll leave the link in the description. Velocity sensitive as well. Not all of the sequences in Arpeggios are velocity sensitive here, but some of them are kind of sensitive. Okay. Bit of aftertouch there. A little bit of resonance. One second. A little tweak there that I need to make. Yeah. All right. Wasn't following the notes. Yes, you can tell the sequencer to follow the notes, so it doesn't just start the sequence all over again when you press a new note. It'll just keep on going at whatever step that it was. Okay, so live performance is a lot smoother. And then my favorite sequences in the whole library. Major version. The minor version of it. It just comes in handy every once in a while when you have a chord change in your track or whatever, and you're like, oh, I wish there was a minor version of that sequence. Well, there is. I still have to tweak levels just a little bit. I think with some of these, I'll give them a little bit of a boost. You can just go in here and there's like a global volume control here that doesn't affect any of the gain staging in or out. So anyways. And I think I have some of these soundscape patches. I'm not sure if they'll still be called soundscapes or whether maybe I'll include some of those pads into the soundscape category, because some of them, like FM Swamp, was really atmospheric. And maybe like mod wheel. I did with this patch is I tried to get a tone out of every single thing. So there's a tone coming out of all three VCOs, but there's also a self-oscillating tone coming out of the VCF, and there's another self-oscillating tone coming out of the mode sweep filter. So every one of these modules is producing a voice. And I've kind of made them modulate each other so they're unstable. It's awfully quiet though, might do a bit of gain staging. And I believe this is the last patch. I believe I've used the sequencer to do some pingy things. I don't see any filter ping going on here. So I might have used it for some other purpose. But yeah, that's one of the cool things is that you don't have to just use the sequencer as a traditional sequencer. You can use the sequencer creatively for other purposes. You know, like I said, you can send the signal out or the gate signal out, and you can ping filters with it. You're free to explore. Mod wheel. Okay, and there you go. That is Vivd for Korg's ARP 2600 plugin. And if you don't have it and you're thinking about getting it, then you should make up your mind quick, because the sale is about to be over, I believe, on the 22nd. So I'll leave a link down in the description and go grab it. And while you're down there in the description, this is very important, please go join our Discord server. I think Discord is a great platform for interfacing and networking with your community. So I've started my own Sound Author Discord. I'll leave a link in the description. Please go join the Discord so we can all hang out together. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this sound set for the ARP 2600. I really enjoyed making it. Look forward to making even more sounds in the future for this synth. I think it's really great. I think you should check it out. Have a good night.